clouds. I can't figure you out now.
On Sunday, the 1st of December. Yes, it's nearly Christmas, and Newcastle gave us a very early Christmas present by getting a point against the champions in Manchester City yesterday. We'll be discussing Newcastle versus Manchester City in part 2, but we'll have to talk about the Aston Villa Newcastle game in part 1, where Steve Bruce went back to Villa Park and unfortunately couldn't get anything but a couple of nice comments from the Aston Villa supporters, it has to be said. We're also previewing the Sheffield United game on Thursday night. Yes, the first Thursday game. That's not a European game for Newcastle in God knows how long. And then in the final part, we'll be talking about the club's new idea, rather, of a new fans group. Will it work, and who is involved? We'll get everybody's reaction to that throughout the show tonight. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to Lee Lawler.
Hi, how are you doing, everyone?
Very good. Good evening to Kyle Thompson.
Hello, you alright?
And good evening to Rob Spule.
How are you doing?
I'm very good. There's been a few games today so far in the Premier League. It will start with Carrow Road with Norwich versus Arsenal, ended 2-2 at Carrow Road. Norwich took the lead through Timu Pukki, who got the hat-trick against Newcastle, of course, his first hat-trick in Premier League football. Arsenal equalised through Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang eventually after Tim Krul saved their first penalty, but VAR controversy made Aubameyang take his penalty again, which Krul couldn't do anything about. Norwich took the lead just before half-time through Cantwell, fantastic curling effort past Bernd Leno to make it 2-1. And then Arsenal equalised through Aubameyang again, so it finished all square at Carrow Road. And Molineux, was Wolves 1, Sheffield United 1. Lys Mousset gave Sheffield United the lead, and Doherty got an equaliser for Wolves as well, so all square at Molineux. And the two other games currently playing at the minute is Manchester United 2, Aston Villa 2. Jack Grealish with a fantastic effort to give Aston Villa the lead. Tom Heaton own goal that was credited to at the end for Manchester United to get their equaliser. United took the lead through Victor Lindelof, but Aston Villa have just equalised in the second half as well through Tyrone Mings. And currently at the King Power, it's Leicester 1, Everton 1. Richarlison giving Everton the lead in the first half, but Jamie Vardy, the man in form, putting Leicester back on track. No Ayosu Perez, he was substituted after 55 minutes. Let's talk all things Newcastle. Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Kyle, it was a very long night, I can imagine, driving back up. Well, Lee was driving back up.
Yeah, it was me who was driving.
Driving back up. But still a long drive, it has to be said. Very, very poor game. Why did Steve Bruce give Aston Villa so much respect? This isn't Manchester City, for example.
Before I go into detail on the Aston Villa game, it's more of a football matter. But rest in peace to young Amora, Bennett Afobe's little girl who passed away on Friday. The football world's with you, mate, and keep your chin up and stay strong. But answer your question, Johnny. Very long trip up, Mr. Lawler, back up in Newcastle. You have friends in Aston Villa, so...
No, not me. Not
you. Johnny has friends in the Birmingham area, so he had a nice sleep while we were driving.
Allegedly.
Tirelessly home, but... No, it was a really long night. By the way, to get into the ground, what a nightmare. I didn't get in until 12, 13 minutes in because getting into the ground, Villa's security goes a bit like Noah's Ark, 2x2, and that's as far as it goes. And it took absolutely ages to get in. I was watching it on Sky go the first 10 minutes, and then, to be fair, looking back, they probably did us a favour keeping us out the way it went, but... It was a really long night, really poor performance, and I'm just happy. I know we'll touch on it later, but I'm happy we've bounced back in the best possible way.
Definitely. John B's just commenting on the YouTube comment saying Newcastle Villa was a shambles all the way that we played. I think he was bang on there, definitely. Remember, you can contact us, contact the show. It's contact@nftvstudio@gmail.com if you're going to get your questions to the guys on all things Newcastle against Manchester City or Aston Villa versus Newcastle. Get your questions in. Lee, I just felt there was no killer instinct again from the likes of Alan Leon and the likes of Alan saint-maximin against Aston Villa. It just seemed very, I don't know, it just seemed that we lacked a lot of ideas, lacked of creativity, and Matt Targett in particular had a very, very quiet afternoon.
Same old Newcastle, isn't it? They go and pull off 2 great results and then they'll get beat off Villa, then go and get another result somewhere else. I mean, what happens in the next? You just can't predict. We can try and predict Newcastle's next 4 fixtures, but none of us will be right. None of us are going to say it's going to be 4 points, 5 points, 7 points, whatever, because it's Newcastle. We made Jack Grealish in particular look like he should be, never mind in the England squad, starting for the England side. He was given too much room for me. He was like 5 yard space, square, all the time, consistently. And credit to him, he found the space, and I thought he was their best player, to be fair. And we ran rings wrong with.
He was man of the match. He was credited man of the match from Sky as well. He was just brilliant, really, you have to be honest. He just, every time he had the ball, he seemed to have loads of space, and just between our midfielders and the defenders, he was just causing havoc, and he could have gotten the score sheet easily, especially in the second half. His curling effort just went over the crossbar. Kyle, when you look at the first goal, Conor Hourihane, who I found out was a former Sunderland player, didn't have a Scooby-Doo about that one, scored the free kick. I'm not going to talk about the free kick as the blame, but does DeAndre Edlin have to commit that foul?
To be fair, Jack Grealish was like kind of through on goal, so maybe there is something towards that. My stress with it is the ball goes over the top, and it's more of a reaction than trying to put like the fire up before it starts. It was very static defending towards the run on, and then when he runs on, obviously they say they've made the error of not moving with Jack Grealish, and he has to bring him down. But kind of take away from Conor Hourihane's free kick was very good. Curling effort away from Dubravka at the near post.
Yeah, for sure. Any complaints with the Wally, or is it the keeper's fault? Or who would you say is more at fault for that goal? Or was it just a fantastic?
I think it is foul. It is a foul. It is soft. I know Isha was saying in particular the second one was more because we were directly across, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the free kick, I think it's really well worked. I think it's a great set piece if that's Newcastle, and we've obviously came up with a few set pieces recently. I think you would be happy, but should a goalkeeper be beaten on his near post? No, it's not. I'm not blaming Dubravka by any means, but you should never be beaten at your near post. But I think it's a good free kick. I think you've just got to say, yeah, fair play. You know, we seem to be conceding some clever set pieces because we conceded one against Bournemouth as well. I think we just need to be a little bit more switched on defensively, but it's a fantastic goal.
Sounded a bit different to last week, Lee. I mean, last Sunday he was giving it the big I am. Oh, we'll score 2 and 3 past Aston Villa. I'm very confident.
I will not change my mind. I do not like Aston Villa fans.
And I'm sucking up now if you're watching Villa
fans. And I
fans.
believe 80% of the audience watching right now will be behind me that we do not like Aston Villa fans. Do we, Johnny?
Yes. Yes, I can say yes after Monday night, definitely, for sure. Let's get Steve Bruce's reaction to that defeat on Monday night. He wasn't a very happy man, was he? Let's hear what he had to say.
That was all.
Get there in the first half, we were a bit too passive and we give the ball away too often. And in the first half in particular, second half, we've gone all out to try and chase the game, and that's always difficult in the Premier League. You leave yourself a bit open, and we've had 1 or 2, 3 opportunities where the goalkeeper's made a good save. It'd been interesting if we had got, one of the goal in half just after half time, but first half in particular, we can't be happy with that display. We've got to be, and we have been better than that. And unfortunately, there was nothing in it until the set pieces. And I've seen Conor many times work that set piece, and he does it very well.
Do it very well. And Rob, the second goal, it seemed that Newcastle decided to go zonal marking, but apart from DeAndre, they tried to get ahead from that cross. Everyone just kind of gave up and going, well, can you deal with it? Can you deal with it? Can you deal with it? And El Ghazi has the freedom of Villa Park, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's one of those things where this is where we really miss Lascelles. We've all been saying that since Lascelles is gonna be injured until the new year, then we aren't really going to miss that much quality-wise in the centre of defence. We discussed this many times before. And yeah, that still is the case in my view. However, when it comes to set-piece situations like we saw on Monday night with that second goal especially, you need a player like Lascelles who's going to take the responsibility, if you like, and direct his teammates around him and to do the marking to a good standard. That responsibility just seemed to be lacking completely for that second goal. So yeah, I think we missed Lascelles on that front.
Could we have had Fabian Schär then, Kyle, who some people would say is an international player, commands that respect? Could he have not done a similar job if he was given the opportunity? Why do you not think he was?
Well, he was available, so to me, it's just a decision by the manager to persist with the 3 that he had. For me, if it was too soon for Fabian Schär, then don't risk him. He wasn't risked either yesterday. So it's probably a case where he's not completely ready yet. So I think the three that were there will probably do the best job with what we have currently, because I don't think Lejeune was ready yet, and I don't think Cher was either. So I couldn't give Bruce any criticism on that one. If he's not ready, he's not ready.
Yeah. Nebeu Dida, I do apologise if that is wrong. It's just for what happened.
I thought you were going code off on there, Johnny.
He talks about the Manchester City result as a great result, but he says, "I'd like to see Fabian Schär and Lejeune stop because we need ball-playing defenders." I think when you look at the likes of Kieran Clark and Paul Dummett, I wouldn't say they're ball-playing, but Fernandes is definitely a ball-playing defender. Lee, do you risk bringing a Schär or a Lejeune straight back in after being injured for the next game?
I think Fabian Schär's got more of a chance than what Lejeune has, because Lejeune's been out practically all year, hasn't he? I know he's played a couple of under 23 games, but I thought he would have played one of these two. If Florian Lejeune doesn't play any, because we've got a run now where we've got like 6 or 7 games in December, one every 3 or 4 games. I'd be very surprised if he's not chucked in one of the next 3. But I actually thought it was Paul Dummett's fault when I looked back at the goal. He's not marking him. I know it's easy, and Tyrone Mings behind him would have scored anyway, but that's Joe Linton's man, so...
There was 2 men free.
Yeah, so...
Well, if one didn't hit it, the other one
then
would have hit.
Joe Linton, the other guy.
I mean, I haven't mentioned much about Aston Villa's second goal. I didn't in my quick thoughts, but yeah, really bad defending.
It's just sloppy, innit?
I've never been a believer in zonal marking as a concept in any way. That's probably one of the reasons, because if you get exposed, you get exposed by 1, 2, 3 and 4, and it makes your defending look Sunday.
I think out of those defenders, I think Paul Dummett's position's the risk now, because I think Fernandes, I'm sure we'll talk about his performance in Man City, he's ahead of Dummett for me now.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
I think Fernandes was brilliant yesterday in particular, but we'll touch about the Manchester City game in part 2. Let's get Newcastle fans TV's reaction to the game against Aston Villa. This is 2 minutes of a lot of angry comments from a couple of people for Newcastle fans TV. Let's get that on now.
Pretty deflated. That was on a par with Norwich, I would say. That was just it could have been easily 3 or 4, and we couldn't have complained. Terrible. To a man, awful. We never looked like scoring at all today, so I don't. There's just no positives to take. It's a far cry from the last hour of the Bournemouth game. It was a completely different side, same players.
But he's not even offering anything. That's the thing. Fair enough, you're a goal scorer.
What Carroll is?
Yeah, of course. As soon as he came on, he was bringing people into it. He had a shot, a spin and a shot which went obviously into the keeper's hands. But he was actually making something of himself. Joe Linton on the pitch for the majority of the game did nothing, absolutely nothing. He doesn't offer anything. And then you've got 2 players alongside him that, let's face it, they're not really in form, are they? Saint-Maximin's not in form.
Almiron.
He's got to be
Johnny
top
just
2.
said that was his worst game he's ever seen him.
We've been drilled into a certain formation for too long now. I think Bruce's bravest thing that he's done in a while is played 4-4-2, old school.
Coming away now, I'm able to reflect. I'm like, oh wow, without Lascelles and Shaw, perhaps like we're a little bit lost at the back. And Kieran Clark didn't make as much of an impact that he should have, actually. Just
no organisation at the back at all. We missed that leadership. We missed Lascelles at the back. We missed someone just bossing people about. And then Shelvey, he's not captain material for me, because again, even if you're 1-0 down, you should be grabbing people by the scruff of the neck saying, come on lads, get your head up, we're still in this. But I wasn't seeing that. One good Hollywood ball, and that was all I saw. And that's all he offers. So for me, he needs to be dropped.
We'll touch on about...
Yeah.
What, not just not giving the captain's armband, like full on drops.
He doesn't offer no more. That's it.
We need assistant goals, and then you can start doing stuff like that, because we're not getting anything at the minute.
No, but at least he's trying. That's the thing.
I'll try, but if I'm not getting goals or assists, I'm the same person,
okay,
aren't I?
Right. There's too many people sticking up for Almiron now. He's been here since January now, and he's not doing nothing. Keeps cutting inside, doing the same thing. At least, look, Saint-Maximin's cutting inside and having a shot. That's what I need to see. Have an attempt, do something with it. Because Carroll came on, had a shot straight away. And that's what wins me over with the whole Carroll and Joe Linton debate. Because, Joe Linton needs to sit down and relax himself a little bit, because he's not doing nothing.
Joe Linton is not doing nothing, says Fordy. He also said...
He means he's not doing anything, by the way, just to be clear.
Well, nothing, anything. It wasn't great on Monday night by Joe Linton.
It's what happens when you have Newcastle fans based in London. Oh, he's not doing nothing.
He said that John Joe Shelvey should have been dropped. Do you think he should have been dropped after that performance, Rob? Forget about what happened yesterday.
I'm thinking that there were other players that were worse than Shelvey on Monday night.
I agree. I thought Hayden was quiet.
Like, yeah, if you were going to drop everyone who played badly in the Aston Villa game, then that's a lot of players to drop, which, to make that many changes when the next league game is 5 days away, that's not a good idea. So, yeah, Shelvey would have been spared the... would have been given a stay of execution for me.
Yeah, I talked about other players that didn't play very well, like Almiron and Joe Linton. I think Kyle Rob's right. You could have dropped them too and put Atsu and Galen, and people would have gone, well, they didn't play well on Monday night. Did they deserve to have that opportunity to play on Saturday?
Well, there was many a question around the front three, especially after Villa. Should one of them be dropped? Because even after the Man City game, as we speak, I think it's 3 assists in 1 goal in 13 games this season. That's got to be the worst contribution from strikers overall from the Premier League club this season. But that being said, Almiron got his first assist yesterday, which we'll talk about later. Obviously, like Saint-Maximin, he's got his assist in recent games. The goal will come for him eventually.
Do you feel that because he was criticised on Monday night? Do you feel that was warranted?
Who?
Saint-Maximin.
Absolutely not.
Because
I thought Maximin got the closest chance.
To one extent, I can see both sides, because I felt that he was trying to do it all too much on his own, but then we didn't have no one else. So it's like a good versus evil, isn't it?
You can. My point with Saint-Maximin was, yes, he was probably our best threat, but what threat did he actually do apart from one shot? His crosses weren't great. I think he has the fancy tricks, and everybody wants to give him a hug and a kiss, but
speak for yourself.
Give us a bit of, like, try and get some goals and assists, and then he deserves cuddles and kisses. Really, because if he can get a couple of goals, people will love him even more than what he's getting now, and he's not done anything yet. It has to be said.
I disagree, mate. I really do.
How many assists? How many goals so far this season?
You can say that, but he gets up the field. You can see how deep Newcastle usually are from the likes of corners where we don't have a focal point. He picks up the ball from his own box and he's a threat to the other goal.
Has he ever been the pass before the pass to get a goal?
Yeah, Man United.
Let me ask you all this though:
long stuff.
Is he better in the side or out the side? Because for me, he has to stay in.
Maximum runs up the field for the Man U goal. He plays at Willems, and Willems then plays it at Longstaff. So there's a goal on a pass on a pass.
I get that. I suppose there's one there, but that's not enough if you want to stay in this division, though, is it?
Ideally, no. You're all right. For me, I've called for Joe Linton to be dropped weeks and weeks ago, and I got criticised.
I think if any of the three needs the finger pointed at them, for me, it's got to be Joe Linton.
Yeah, I think it's for me. I'm pushing towards at least.
I think the two wingers are starting to really show their worth. Almiron got his assist yesterday. Maximin's contributing a lot, and I think Almiron is as well. I mean, I think Almiron won both free kicks. Even yesterday, Almiron played through Manquillo, which won the free kick, which then led to Shelvey's goal. I
think even with the games, I think we'll see other people now with games coming up thick and fast now. I think that'll force it on Bruce, because there's no way he's going to play the same 3 in the next 7 games. It's not happening. So rotation will force that on. And if it's the perfect time, because we don't know what's going on with Andy Carroll, so Dwight Gale comes in, grabs a goal, he might get his Toon career back on track.
Let's get a look at a couple of the comments. Carl Thompson, any relation to Kyle, I'm not too sure.
Don't think so.
Grealish has been really, really good again today against Man United. Don't think it's a case of us making him look good. Sergio says, I'm not sure I mentioned this before, but why don't we try ASM as a striker? A through ball from...
Ooh, nah.
I
mean, if you catch him out with a long ball, the one critique I've had of Maximin's probably his shooting, and that was seen at its worst against West Ham, because he tore them open a few times and didn't get the ball in the net. But I think Maximin, you get the best out of him playing on the flank, I think.
He prefers to be on the left. He's even admitted that in his big interview.
Yeah. John B says, Miggy is not a winger. Joe Linton won't score without any service. Completely agree with that. He's also said, would love Miggy as a number 10 or just playing off Joe Linton because he gets no service. Yes, he cost us 40 million, but he needs service. Any striker in the world would struggle to score in this team.
See, I'm like, this is what a lot of fans have been saying, and I've been saying it as well. But the past couple of weeks, I'm starting to go against it a bit, because for me, he doesn't get into the box enough. He just doesn't. Like, you look at Andy Carroll, right? He heads the ball on.
You know what you get him, didn't you?
He gets the ball that way. The first thing on his mind when the ball's released is get into the box. How am I going to get into the box? Jordan doesn't do that for me. He doesn't bomb on and try and get into the box. If you're a striker, if you're number 9, surely when you pass it off to your winger who's going to get the ball forward, your first thought's the box. So for me, if you're going to get the service, you need to create that chance. You need to get into that space. So for me, Jordan needs to work on that as well.
It's full time at Old Trafford. Manchester United 2, Aston Villa 2, a point for United at home. Aston Villa are still a point behind Newcastle United. And I'm going to put might, because there might have been a goal at the King Power. I've got it on my phone. Leicester 2, Everton 1. However, VAR are looking at it. Kelechi Iheanacho, remember him, the forgotten man? Possibly, I'm just going to leave it at possibly, might have scored the winner against Everton, but VAR are looking at it in the last minute. If that's the case, and say Leicester do win, I think Marco Silva might be out of a job before the
I think he's doing a wonderful job at Everton, and they're behind us. Don't you agree, Kyle?
Look at him trying to chuck us under the bus.
Yes.
I'm just gonna let you dig your own grave on that one. Mate.
I don't like Aston Villa. I don't like Everton. I'll let that be known.
Definitely. So it has been given. So it is Leicester City 2, Everton 1. Kelechi Iheanacho has scored for Leicester, and the gap between them and Liverpool now is 8 points.
It's been given for now.
It has been given for now. If anything changes, we're going to have a quick break in the next minute or so. If anything changes, we'll let you know straight after the break. And in part 2, we're going to discuss yesterday's match, Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. We're going to discuss John Joe Shelvey's free kick, Kevin De Bruyne's absolute wonder goal, and we might have another debate about ASM and Almiron and see if they deserve to be in the team against Sheffield United after this short break. back to part 2 of the Black and White Show here on No Radio Northeast 102.5 FM. Remember, you can get in contact with the show. We want to find out who your man of the match was against Manchester City, and by doing so, you can email the show on contact NFTV, Newcastle Fans TV, studio@gmail.com, and we'll get all your messages in throughout this part. It finished 2-2 yesterday, Lee. The only change was Javier Manquillo for the injured DeAndre Yedlin. I thought he was fantastic yesterday. I thought he was really, really good defensively, and that's, I think, why Bruce went with him. I think he was more reliable than Emil Kraft. Did you agree with that decision as well?
Come the day, I thought, I say you have your Manquillo in the start lineup and I'm relieved. But, I don't think I'll ever say that. I thought he was solid, yeah. I think Williams was probably the better wing back than what Javier Manquillo was, but playing against Manchester City, you have those 3 players that'll drift over there. So you've got Mendy, you've got Silva, and who was playing left, Sterling as well. So it's a difficult job for Almiron as well, but I thought it was solid. So I'd rather see Manquillo on the side than Kraft, because Kraft has still got a long way to convince me that he deserves to be ahead of Manquillo and Yedlin, but solid.
Big summer signing, Emil Kraft, by the way. Kyle, I think we contained City very well throughout the game, but in particular for the first 20 minutes or so. Was it just unlucky, Raheem Sterling's goal, or did David Silva do well with that touch?
It's a mixture of both, because I thought we started well, we contained Man City well. The only critique I could have was Benjamin Mendy was getting loads of space on that side, and I think that was due to Almiron not tracking very well. Touching on to Manquillo, I thought he did really well, given he was up against 2, sometimes even 3 Man City players at a time. But it takes a deflection, it goes to David Silva, and he uses his experience and his technique to backheel it into the path of Sterling, and Sterling just puts it into the bottom corner, and it's a lovely finish. I mean, you can't give Raheem Sterling that type of space at the minute. He's so clinical in front of goal. For me, I think it was unlucky on our side, but a team as good as Manchester City kind of give them that type of space, otherwise they'll punish you.
Rob, what were you thinking at 1-0? Did you think that Newcastle could get back into it even so quickly with Willem's goal? But did you think, if this goes 2, it could be a long afternoon?
Well, yesterday I was at York City. I was working there, doing my commentary. And with it being the lunchtime kickoff at Newcastle, I was looking for a pub in this York City centre, for a pub that will sort of show the game. And when I got off the train, it was still goalless. And then just before I went into a pub, I saw that it was 1-1. So my thoughts when it turned 1-0 were non-existent.
What were your thoughts when it went 1-1?
Well, when it went 1-1, I was still looking for a pub, so I was just thinking...
Hashtag find Rob a pub.
Lee, what were your thoughts when it went 1-1? Because I said to you after the game, I thought that was one of Newcastle's best team goals. The interplay from Almiron to Willems, but the pass from Dummett, I think it was brilliant analysed by Alan Shearer on Match Today. He could have passed the ball sideways, but he went forward. They wanted to take a chance, and it was an assist by Miguel Almiron for Willems.
Say that one more time.
A Miguel Almiron assist. Yes. It's only taken them 11 months, 10 months. But Lee, what a team goal, but a fantastic finish, an arrow finish, yesterday, he said.
Yeah, I was singing his praises to Kyle and Paul, wasn't I? Before the game, saying he's got a hell of a right foot, and I'm sure you'll touch upon his price tag in a minute, but it's unexpected, to be fair, because I was looking at this thinking this is not a game that we're going to get anything from. I'm expecting it to be 2 or 3 and just knock it on its head, move on, don't talk about it much. But to be fair, you wanted to see a reaction from Aston Villa, because Aston Villa's performance was up there with Norwich's and the Leicester's that I've been to. I wouldn't say they're as bad as them, but they're not they're not far off. But fantastic take, and he's a threat going forward. And he's had a bit of a rocky start, Willems, but he took it really well and beat Edison with ease. And where was the Manchester City's defence for Willems' movement? But we don't care. It's 1-1, and he's just praying to get it in half time. Just keep it steady, get half time, and we did.
Yeah, I think we did. I think after Willems scored, which is a fantastic goal, by the way, I did think we couldn't City pretty well. We knew City were going to have loads of possession. They had 70% possession for the whole game yesterday, but they didn't create. They did create chances.
That's what I was saying, and
not the typical City chances.
That's what I was saying in the in the review when I had to redo it because of the tech issues, is that Manchester City didn't test for much in that first half. They did in the second half because Dubravka was tested a little bit more. But in that first half, you thought, has Dubravka made a save? I can't remember right now. I'm thinking right now, I can't. But I thought that shows a credit again to the defence, which I'm sure you'll talk about that later on, but credit to them.
Yeah. Just a couple of comments. Sam has said, Fernandes was my man of the match yesterday, an absolute rock. Great response after Monday night. Sam was talking on the clip before, so big hello to Sam. Why did we sign Kraft, Adam Taylor? Well, he was there for £5 million, but again, I think we're all scratching our head at the minute for that one. B. Taylor, my man of the match yesterday. Dubravka, solid performance yesterday. That double save from Dubravka was brilliant. Taylor continued as well. We'll touch on that in a second. $9.5 million is the reported fee that you could buy Joshua Willems at the end of the season. I'm not 100% sure if it's an agreed deal that Newcastle have the option to do that, or that is just a release clause that they have at the end of the season. Kyle, if you've got to spare £9.5 million and you're in charge of transfers at the club, would you go for that right now?
In a heartbeat. I mean, this lad, I mean, I was saying in the vlog yesterday, he's the second edition of the Big Beautiful Man. He's just been, yesterday, he was unreal. The targeted man queue for a reason. I mean, defensively, going forward, this lad has so much like technical prowess to get forward, and he's got an amazing shot on him as well. And the goal that he took, I mean, hit with so much power and accuracy. I've seen him on his Instagram asking for a 5-star weak foot rating on FIFA in the next update. But it's $9.5 million for a good left back. I mean, you look at teams across the league. I think Man City paid like over 30-40 million for Angelino or something that plays left back. How much for like Benjamin Mendy? How much have Tottenham played for like Serge Aurier and then Arsenal, Kieran Tierney? Like $9.5 million for someone as good as Willems is an absolute steal.
You'd do it, wouldn't you?
And they cannot make the same mistakes they've made in the past. They need to do what they did with Dubravka. Get him signed straight away. As soon as the window opens, just get it done. Because you can't do what we did with like Remy, can't do what we did with Solomon Rondon. You can't let players like this slip, because this lad is probably one of the best. Is probably the best left back I've seen since Jose Enrique, and that's the biggest compliment I can give him. It's really good.
I don't think he's had much competition, but
it's good competition though, because Matt, we're talking about Matt Ritchie being out now, delayed until January. People are going to say, are you really missing Matt Ritchie's ability? Probably more of his leadership you're missing more of.
Paul done it.
But for Joshua Willems, he's answering those questions. I think you've got to. It makes sense to make that deal, 9.5, 10 million, whatever the fee is.
It's a steal.
It's a bargain.
Could someone just paid 40 million for Joelinton?
You can get four Joshua Willems.
I don't care. Just buy Willems immediately. At 9.5 million, he should already be signed. They should have done it yesterday.
If they're smart enough, because if he keeps up this form, the Euros are coming back around again next year. He wants to get back in that Dutch side. He said he doesn't like playing in centre midfield when he was in the Bundesliga, and now he's starting to prove that he's worth why he went to the Bundesliga, why he was so good for PSV.
If Ronald Koeman doesn't pick Willems for left back in the Euros, he deserves to be sacked.
He's got to at least make that squad, because he's starting to show the form. Of course, a long way to go in the season, because he might have a dip in form, but at the minute he's sensational. I would do it, mate.
Rob, is there any reason why Newcastle shouldn't be signing Willems?
Even if it means getting another Barclays loan out.
Or signing Jordi Alba. That's the only reason you wouldn't sign him.
He's a Jordi, isn't he? That's a poor one by me.
Yeah. Johnny's leaving.
Yes. But then, even if it means, I don't know, Wonga are out of business now, aren't they? Lots of payday loan companies have gone out of business, haven't they? Yeah, even if it means just using one of them, get the money for Willems. But if there's a reason why we shouldn't, okay, so if you're Mike Ashley and you don't want to spend £9 million...
If you're Mike Ashley, God, how depressing.
And you don't want to spend £9 million, and then you're going to be looking for a reason. I don't know, I mean, £9 million nowadays for a Premier League team would get you, like, a knee of a good Premier League proven player.
There's no negative. It's just sign them, get it done.
I just can't. I genuinely can't think of anything that should hold back this deal.
Yeah, for sure. let's have a couple more comments. The Golden God, if we don't get him, another club is going to snatch him up.
Exactly.
Which is absolutely true.
We should be turning to Frankfurt and say
we should be begging them to make this happen. Fly the representatives over now. Get it done.
We should say to Adi Hooter, like, how much do you want? We'll pay it.
Definitely.
He's worth double, treble the amount. Get him. If Jordan's worth 40, then Willems is worth the same. If we can pick him up for 9.5 million, then you get the deal done immediately, like now.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about Joe Linton. I think he divided opinion yesterday, and I'm going to put the case forward that I thought he did okay yesterday. Yes, he didn't have any shots on target, and didn't have a shot, I don't think. I can't remember having a shot in the whole game. But the reason why that was a different performance to the one against Aston Villa, it was what he did with bringing the players up. He was holding the ball up well, I would say 70% of the time. I think he won the battles with the likes of John Stones and your Fernandinhos. And what you're doing there is you're giving your defence a bit of time to basically get a bit of air in your lungs, basically, because they'll be knackered. It gets the midfield forward. I thought, by him doing that, it allowed Almiron to push forward and saint-maximin to push forward. And I think against a Manchester City, Rob, that's what we needed him to do. He wasn't going to get a lot of chances, and he didn't have any. But I thought it was an okay performance. I think I gave him a 7 out of 10 yesterday.
It was a really good performance, yes. What Joe Linton is good at is, you listed it there, holding up the ball, bringing others into the game. That was why the midfield was so active in the game yesterday. But then, on the flip side of the coin, you could argue a striker is in a team, especially a lone striker, is there, you're relying on him to score the goals. So is he still, although he's still got these positives about his play, guys, would you still deem him as worth it to be in the squad? Knowing that he's not going to be or likely to not be scoring many goals, but he does have that positive about him in bringing others into the game.
I think he's still the best striker at the club.
Something that Gale and Muto would really struggle to do.
I think he's the best striker at the club at the minute. If you look at Andy Carroll, injury prone, he hasn't played a lot of minutes. Dwight Gale hasn't played a lot of minutes. Dwight Gale, the only good thing with Dwight Gale is that he's slightly proven. Yes, he's proven in the Championship, Premier League. He has scored a couple of goals.
Good impact sub.
Yeah, if he was given more time, I think he just needs more time at the club, and more time on the pitch rather. Lee, what did you make of Jordan's performance yesterday? We had people on Twitter saying, that they don't understand why he's playing at the minute, and people have had to pay to watch Newcastle recently, and
don't we all have to pay to go and watch Newcastle?
Yeah.
I think yesterday, I'm not going to judge Joe Linton too much. Yesterday, it's Manchester City. You judge Joe Linton against the lesser teams, he's not cutting it out for me. He's got to come out of the team. Simple as that.
Would you drop him on Thursday?
Yeah, I would. I've said this weeks ago, and I think now he's played 13 games, and it's not a bad decision to drop him. I think it might give him a kick up the backside, and then you bring in somebody else. Even if Gale plays 70 minutes and he comes on, he'll look around and think, oh, I've lost my place here, I need to do a little bit more here, or whatever. I don't think it's such a negative to take someone out the firing line 1 or 2 games. I think it will happen anyways, because, as I said earlier on to Kyle, I think the rotation of all the games, there's going to be rotated at the back, midfield and up top. You're not going to see the front three play all 7 games, so this will be forced on Bruce, and I think it'll actually be a good thing. But if let's just say we had 1 game, we didn't have a game for 2 weeks, I would take 2 out of the 3 out completely for me. They're not cutting it for me. And goals keep you up. In the minute we're relying on the defence to keep winning games or getting points, it's not enough. Almiron has to come out, Joe Linton has to come out, and God forsake, if I have to play Aston, I'll play Aston.
Kyle, Paul's putting on the comments, Dwight Gale needs to play up top with Joe Linton just off. Would you not drop Joe Linton and give maybe a little bit more help and put him with Dwight Gale, even if Dwight Gale was to play, say, 60-70 minutes like Lee says? Or would you just go just basically swap them like for like?
To fire a question back though, is Joe Linton worth changing a system for? Because I don't personally think so. You can beat around the bush for as much as you want. Johnny can see he held up this, he held up that, he brings players forward, whatever. He's not a striker. He's not. I've seen him play now for a couple of months.
How would you play him then?
I think he's either just an off the striker type player, or he can play on the wing. For me, he's a replacement for Jose Perez, not Rondon. For me, I don't know. I just can't sum him up at the minute. It's just, it's very difficult because there's a lot of pressure on him because of the price tag. But for me, The problem is everyone's saying he needs a service, and I've said this and I fell for this before, but he doesn't get into the box enough. He doesn't make that run. Like, there was a few times yesterday where, fair enough, he's holding up the ball, that's part one, but the difference between him and a Rondon will pass the ball off and he'd run 20, 30 yards to get into the box. Jordan's not doing that. He's just trying to be a part of the play. And I know you touched on he's held up the ball decently, but our goals yesterday didn't really come
Sheff
from...
Utd can hold on to the ball brilliantly.
Exactly, do you know what I mean? I do not think he's the best striker at the minute. I think if Andy Carroll's fully fit, you play Andy Carroll. I think,
then if you didn't, would you play Gale if you don't?
I'd play Gale in front of him. And I think Jordan's that devoid of confidence. Either that or there's too much pressure on Jordan to make a change in terms of how he plays. Because, let's be honest, he wasn't the first striker at Hoffenheim. But we've bought him to be that centre forward. He needs to either adapt or play him somewhere else.
When he was playing in the Bundesliga, Rob will know this as well, that he'd never played up top on his own, ever. Not once.
No.
Not once.
For me, I think if you're going to make a change, it might be worth playing Joelinton on one of the flanks and then playing a Gale or a Carroll up front. Now I think you'd see the best out of Joelinton getting in behind.
What would you do with Almiron? Put him at the bench? If you're doing that?
I mean, maybe.
Because he's not producing. I know he got the assist.
I think Almiron and Maximin are starting to work out. But personally, I would drop Joelinton. I just don't think...
I'll drop two of them.
I just don't think he's good enough at the minute. It's hard to say. I think he's been bought. The wrong player's been bought for the role of number 9.
Even Benitez said that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Rob, what do you make of Joelinton? I think everybody's got an opinion on if he should be in the team or not. Do you think that he lacks a lot of service? And he likes about your Almirons and your ASMs. I know Kyle's shaking his head back.
It's not service.
I can understand that, but let's be brutally honest, Kyle. ASM and Almiron aren't helping Joelinton out. And Rob, do you almost feel sorry for him a little bit?
I see it from both sides, but I do sympathise with the lack of service a lot more, because when he was with at Hoffenheim, providing the service, you've got Pavel Kadajabek, that you might know, he's a regular for the Czech Republic, and Nico Schultz. Those two guys are brilliant crossers of the ball. Really esteemed. They love to get the ball into crossing positions. They love to cross the ball in quickly. What I've noticed, that Yedlin especially do this, and Manquillo, they've done this a lot this season. They get into a good crossing position, then they wait. Joelinton is there ready and waiting to receive the ball. And what happens? They take it back, and in the end, we never really threaten the box that much. Like, Joelinton must be really frustrated with that lack of service. Because, like I say, he's there ready and waiting most of the time. But yesterday especially, you can point the finger at him to a certain extent, because I noticed yesterday, Almiron got into a really good crossing position.
Played it across and no one was there.
Exactly.
That's what I was about to come on to, Rob.
He should have been busting a gut to get in there, Joelinton, because Almiron did everything he could. It's one of those things where everyone, Joelinton and the rest of the team, are just not on the same wavelength. They're not playing at the same pace as each other. That needs to change.
I think personally, I would give Joelinton until Boxing Day. I would give him until Boxing Day. I'd give him the next.
But do you not feel that for all the games coming up, it's going to be forced anyways, that he's going to rotate?
Possibly. I just think I would give him the next 4 games, and the only reason that if you look at the next 4 games, it's Sheffield United, Southampton, Burnley, and Crystal Palace. I'm expecting goals. I'm expecting goals from him. If we don't get goals from him, then you can hammer it down and say, Gale, Carroll, etc. need to be given more of a chance because he's had half a season and he's still only got 1 goal on the score sheet. Yes, still a massive goal against Tottenham, but we're expecting more for 40 minutes. We're expecting a lot more. We're going to have to move on because obviously we've spoken about this a lot. ASM ran his heart out and he was bundled over for a potential penalty. I don't think it was a penalty. I think Kyle Walker just gets there first in front of him.
Sneaky little elbow in the back though.
Yes, it was kind of done in a way that the referee didn't really see it. Is there a foul leading up to the Kevin De Bruyne goal, Lee?
Yes.
Not for me.
Sorry.
Because with Gale jumping to try and get the header, there was a shout. It wasn't really spoken about. Is there enough for a foul there?
Kyle thinks it, but not for me.
I think there is for sure. The referee let a couple of them go yesterday where we're trying to get the ball and they just kind of block off and let our player go over the top. that's a foul for me. But I'm not going to take it away from Kevin De Bruyne. I think that was a absolutely amazing goal he scored yesterday. One of the goals of the season for sure. But for me, I think it was a foul in the build-up, so it shouldn't have stood. But yeah, fantastic goal from him. But he didn't get the last laugh.
No, he didn't. But Lee did.
Not a foul.
You don't think
Not
it's
for
a
me.
foul?
No, I think because they're coming together for like a header, and I think if you can't move, what can you do? That Manchester City is standard. That yes, I know it's Hayden. I think it is, isn't it? Who goes over him? But where's that Manchester City defender going to go? But again, the goal is a goal of the season.
Dubravka actually gets a touch.
Slight touch
As well, and he made a fantastic double save as well, Rob, from Jesus and Kevin De Bruyne as well before that goal went in.
Yeah.
He was so important yesterday.
Yeah, I think so many players gave a really good account of themselves, and I'll be honest, as really pleased and as pleased as I am with the 2-2 draw, I think I actually called it before kickoff.
You called Desmond, did you?
Yeah, well, not a draw, but not necessarily a 2-2, because whenever we've had a bad defeat this season, we've always reacted really well to it. I was expecting the reaction after the atrocious display at Villa. I was expecting this to be no exception. For me, Dubravka, absolutely amazing. 'Cause even if you think about it, the 2 goals from Man City, unsavable. Sterling, it's right in the corner. De Bruyne, I know Dubravka gets a hand to it, fingertips.
It's a pace that beats him.
But yeah, you just don't save those. It's right at the top corner, any higher, and that's hitting the crossbar and staying out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Manchester City take the lead after 82 minutes. Atsu comes on for ASM, and everyone's thinking, "Oh, we've nearly done it. We've nearly managed to get a point against Man City."
It was 1-1 when Atsu came on.
Was it? Oh, was it just?
Just
It
before,
was. It
yeah.
just before. You're right.
Yeah.
But people are thinking, "That's it. We haven't got a lot of firepower." No disrespect to Christian Atsu, but it looks like that's going to probably be the end result of Manchester City are going to win. Javier Menchero gets fouled by Fernandinho, who's looked to stay on the pitch. I have to say, I think he could have got a second yellow for that. But from that resulting free kick, Atsu plays a short free kick with John Shelvey on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
I was one of them. I'm not going to lie. I moaned.
Same.
I think at that point, everyone would have gone, "Why is he not getting it in the box?" in the 88th minute. But we all got proved wrong with an absolute wonder strike by John Shelvey, his first Newcastle goal at home for over 2 years. And Rob, it was worth the wait, wasn't it?
Amazing. It's a brilliant finish, isn't it? I was in the Bootham Tavern, shout out to them, because once they realised that I was sort of, once it clocked on that I was a massive Newcastle fan around half-time or start of the second half, they were sort of supporting Newcastle with me. There was not a Man City fan inside. Well, Man City fans are in London now. Anyway, since in London since 2008. But yeah, John Joe Shelvey, first goal at St James's Park since the FA Cup third round in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, against Luton.
I say first home goal in the Premier League for 2 years as well, which is just an amazing stat in itself. But
yeah,
3 goals so far this season, along with Willems, the joint leading goal scorers. Lee, you moaned, but I bet you were cheering all over the place when it goes in the camera.
Sam Paul's camera, who vlogged it. I didn't vlog it, just for the Twitter people out there. I just took a step away from Kyle and celebrated on my own. Poor Paul got choked to death, and he's still suffering right now. So I thought, I'll stand away and I'll celebrate with some old bloke who was next to us. And it was
casual in them, this one.
For me, it was. But David Paul, mate. But
I do.
Great moments. It's them small moments where you got football games, isn't it? We've had a few. Obviously, Spurs, the 2 Manchester clubs as well. So we're not going to win a trophy. We're not going to get into Europe anytime soon. But it's them the fine details which you enjoy and go home and think, that was good today. I enjoyed that. And it was a great advert for football and a great moment.
Yeah, it was a great moment. Let's hear from John Joe Shelvey and Steve Bruce. Following Newcastle's 2-2 draw, I'm sure they'll be a bit more happier on this video than they were against Aston Villa.
They've had to run a million miles, of course, like you do, and chase the ball. And you need your goalkeeper to play well. And you need that little bit of quality to score a couple of goals like we did. I mean, we weren't up in their half very often. But when we did, you detected there was a threat. And the 2 goals we scored was terrific.
when Kevin De Bruyne scored that goal, I mean, what a goal! It was we thought, Jesus Christ, not again. But we kept on fighting and obviously got the free kick and then actually laid it back and finished it. So just a massive point, especially after Monday night. We bounced back terrifically and put in a lot of fight and put a lot of effort.
You know, to get anything in the Premier League, it's important to have a good spirit, and that's just not on the team. It's important at the training ground, and it's important among you guys who work alongside the players week in and week out. It's important that they all enjoy coming to work, and it's something which we all try to create that environment that I want people to come into work and enjoy coming to work. And the players at the minute have got the bit between their teeth and quietly going about it. Of course, we can't keep everybody happy, but there is a good spirit and a good attitude towards them, which was pretty evident again today. You've seen it against Bournemouth. We were up against it for 20 minutes, turned around to come back twice against Man City. Very difficult, and yet we've done it.
Yeah, it says a lot about us as a squad. I mean, and obviously the manager and the coaching staff. We've worked a lot this week on what we did wrong against Aston Villa. We did probably give them too much respect and didn't get up to the ball and that. And I felt we did that really well today, and we worked our socks off. So I think we thoroughly deserved a point today.
I think they did thoroughly deserve a point today, Kyle, and they did work their socks off. And you've got to say, John Joe Shelvey, I thought his work rate was a lot better, it was improved, but that strike again, I'm going to go back onto it. Did you see it coming? Because I don't think I did.
No, as Lee touched on before, the ball goes out from Christian Atsu and you're thinking, oh yeah, what?
Get away from me, Kyle.
It started with the short free kick, and obviously we know from Spurs last season where the short free kick happened and then full time happened. Ever since then, the short free kick's been like hated by Newcastle fans, but those moments will quickly turn to chills, like you mentioned before, Johnny. The scenes were really good. The goal was fantastic, and well deserved a point. Well deserved a point.
Let's get a few of the comments. And Paul Wilson, it's typical Newcastle though. Turn up against the big teams, win, draw, or lose, they all put in a shift. It's the small teams that we need to worry about. I think he's right there. I think we need to. He looks at your Aston Villas and your Norwiches this season. You've got to be picking up points against the teams around us. And now the next 4 games, you've got to be thinking they're the games that if we get points off, that'll keep us away from the relegation. So for the future, the tunes, is Bruce worse to listen to than Pardew? Can't decide. I don't know. I'm not bothered.
Pardew runs away with that one for sure. Pardew used to do my head in press conferences with his lies. Remember when we lost 8 on the bounce and he's like, oh, it's the newspaper's fault we've lost that many games. Jog on, mate.
I suppose Bruce is a jolly, isn't he? He's a jolly at heart. Lee, just before I put Newcastle Fan TV's reaction for you all, Sterling shot right at the end, saved well by Dubravka. I didn't
saved well.
Saved very well.
It's behind him as he's diving down.
He just kind of grasps it out of, I was going to say thin air, but obviously it's on the ground, isn't it? It's on the ground, so but that's got us the point, hasn't it, at the end of the day?
It's a fabulous save. It was a Lola save, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
Oh,
We've all seen me in action, haven't we? I'm waiting for that moment right there. I fear for it because remember the Bournemouth one when who was it was back post, and I think was it King, and he had a back post and he puts it wide against her, and then it was very similar.
What, the last kick of the game?
Yeah.
Bournemouth, right?
Josh King.
It was King, wasn't it? And this was almost identical. Williams is actually asleep, believe it or not. Sterling gets in behind him, think, oh, but I think it would have. Don't get me wrong, it's an unbelievable save. But if Sterling gets a little bit more power on it, we would have lost that game. But second half, Dubravka kept us in it. Second half, first half, he was quiet as I mentioned. That double save and that one right down, which is going past his body and close it and hangs onto it. That's why he's got that new contract, baby.
He has got that new contract. I think, Rob, I think you'd probably agree. You know, saves are very important, but it's goals in the big games. They're the ones that get talked about. You know, potentially, I don't know if you're playing Sunderland or something. If you score against Sunderland, it gets remembered for a long, long time, doesn't it?
Yeah, if we stay up by 1 point, I don't think we will. I certainly hope we don't. Stay up with just 1 point. I'm sure we'll be safe before the final game of the season. But it's those instances just like that. You look at Dubravka's save, excellent shot stopper. You're going to look at those at the end of the season and think, yeah, if it wasn't for that, You know, because I remember when Shay Given was at the club, and quite often I would often think, oh yeah, if it wasn't for that save, and that save, yeah, like we would nowhere be near hitting the heights that we did under Shay Given. Yeah, Dubravka is no exception. He's a top class keeper.
Let's get Newcastle fans' TV reaction to the game against Manchester City. We've got Lee and Owen with their thoughts after the game yesterday.
You have to say, everyone put in a shift. Isaac Hayden in the midfield, challenges flying in everywhere. Shelvey, his passing was brilliant. Obviously, he scored the goal at the end of the game. Saint-Maximin running the players, although I did think he was the most disappointing out of him and Almiron today. But nonetheless, a great game. Almiron with his first ever assist for Newcastle, first ever goal involvement. It's got to start somewhere, hasn't it? So, I mean, Joe Linton covered a lot of ground when he was on the pitch. The defence today was absolutely incredible. Although they did 2 goals, they were just a big unit that Manchester City really struggled to get down. And there were times where Sterling would get the ball in the box and just struggled to wriggle free of the players because there was just so many of them. Dubravka was astonishing today. He's my man of the match personally. That save from Sterling at the end where didn't even palm it back out into the box. He stopped the ball dead. That's a hard thing to do as a goalkeeper, and he did it perfectly. Willems is another good mention today, and Manquillo was solid again. He was called upon and solid. I think I've covered every single player on the pitch there.
When Chris Kavanagh, who by the way I thought had a very poor game, blew for half time, you're thinking, is it full time yet? That's only a thing, and we'll take the point and run. But half time went in, Steve Bruce would have had a word going in that second half, and yes, we're expecting Manchester City to have all the ball. We knew this. If you have a point, you'd be delighted. I think it's a point gained. And again, at this game, nobody really expected Newcastle, in all honesty, to get a point. I did mention in the previews that they are vulnerable at defence and we can get at them. And it proved that we can score goals. Manchester City haven't kept a clean sheet for a long time now. And it gives you a little bit of optimism going into the game against Sheffield United. Thankfully, it's only a 2-hour drive. There will be a couple of changes. You've got to think the front three, although we scored 2 goals today, I think Dwight Gale's pushing on for a start in one of these 2 games with either either the Sheffield United game or the Southampton one coming up.
Yes, for sure. It's going to be a very big week for Newcastle. 3 games in 8 days. Let's finish off this part with a man of the match. Kyle, I'll let you start it off. Who do you think was just about man of the match? I think there's obviously a few candidates, but is there anyone in particular who just got to know for you yesterday, Rob?
It's an interesting one, actually, Johnny. I haven't actually thought of a man of the match. I didn't give one of my quick thoughts yesterday either.
It's a good question, isn't
it? Top question from top presenter. But
you too, Tom.
It's between 2 for me, between Jethro Willems and Martin Dubravka for me. Dubravka made 3 very important saves, especially the one towards the end. And Willems with his brilliant first goal with his weak foot. And his all-round defensive performance, I thought he's helped Shelvey and Hayden out in the midfield as well for a couple of tackles. Isaac Hayden, probably a top mention as well, because some of the tackles he made were absolutely phenomenal. But from the go down to 1, I'll say Martin Dubravka.
Martin Dubravka. Lee?
Fernandes.
Yeah,
I think Federico Fernandes has got to play well week in, week out now because he knows the elegant man's coming and he knows that Flan Lejeune's on his way as well. So I thought it was sensational. He can't really argue about the goal. The first one's a ricochet. The second goal is just an absolute wonder, such and such. Keep it polite because we're Ofcom and all that.
Ofcom, it was a really good goal.
It was. I thought it was sensational. I think, how can you drop him at the minute? Which is a good problem to have. So Federico Fernandes for me.
Rob, who's your man of the match?
Out of all the ones that you could consider, it's got to be either Willems or Dubravka. If I had to pick one, it's got to be Dubravka for his performance in the second half, the double save and the Sterling save right at the end.
I was going to go to Dubravka as well. I'm sorry, Lee, but for me, that save, particularly at the end, I think just got it over the line.
Don't be sorry, I'm happy that he saved it.
I just think it was such a great save, and you know there's been questions about him last season, but he's been brilliant again this season, and I think that point was well and truly down to him and Willems and Hayden, and obviously Shelvey's goal, but Dubravka 3 or 4 excellent saves, that double save as well, deserves a fantastic mention. Part 3 is all going to be about Sheffield United on Thursday night. Can Newcastle I don't know, can Newcastle do something different against like other teams have tried to do against Sheffield United? Overlapping centre halves, so we're going to try and discuss all of that. And will Newcastle make changes for the game against Thursday? That's straight after this break. Part 3 of the Black and White Show here on Nova Radio North East 102.5 FM. Thank you very much for joining us this Sunday evening, 1st of December. Get your Christmas trees up, have a cup of tea and listen to the lads talk about all
I've already been up 2 weeks.
Talk all things Sheffield United versus Newcastle United. Thursday night. Who would have thought Newcastle played Thursday night football? It's not a Europa League match, but it is the Premier League, and that's just as good, isn't it, really? Premier League football, of course, is fantastic. It is Sheffield United, and Chris Wilder at Bramall Lane will be there. Newcastle Fans TV will be there. Me, Rob, Lee, and Paul, not Kyle, unfortunately. He's got other commitments, but we'll leave that for another day. Let's start with Kyle.
Okay.
Any changes to the team would you make for the game on Thursday?
It's difficult to actually. Yeah, I would make one. I'd get Jolton out of the team, and I'd bring Gale in straight away. I think Gale would suit the two wingers more so than Joelinton does, because I think Gale's really good at just finding that bit of space in a 6-yard box, and I think Almiron and Maximin, the way they run defences and get the ball across, I think there's more than a good chance for Dwight Gale there. So I think Dwight Gale has to start, and I think Bruce just needs to show a bit of bottle and drop. He's £40 million striker, or so-called striker anyway.
Lee, Gale's been mentioned. Would you bring in your elegant man in, or would you still leave him, making sure that he's 100% fit for maybe the Southampton game if changes need to be made?
I think if he doesn't rotate on Thursday, I think he will Sunday. So it's one of the two. Bruce will rotate the side. Which way is he going to go? Is he going to play? Is he going to go what he would class as his first 11 on Thursday, and then on Sunday at home? For me, the one on Sunday, Southampton, you've got to be winning that. That's a winnable game because we're not beating teams around us.
Is that a winnable game? No disrespect.
The way they're playing though, Bramall Lane, I think that's a harder game.
It's a bit of a fortress at the minute.
I think it's a harder game than it is Sunday.
I'd take a point right now. If you offered us a point,
so would I. But I'm just saying.
Give us 4 points from the next two games.
Just on paper, on itself, it's Sheffield United.
But then again, what team is Chris Wilder going to put out? Is he going to go strong?
I think
he will. Then is he going to mix it up? So we're coming at a period now where it's going to be extremely difficult. Any of these predicted 11s that people do, they're going to get a lot of them wrong because there's so many games. But yeah, there's a question on the Longstaff. Sean's obviously didn't get off the bench. Will he play?
They've got to play, man. It's been a couple of weeks now.
Go on. Rob, safe. Go on, Rob.
It's been a couple of weeks since the lads from North Shields have played. They've got to play, man.
Catchphrase. But I think there's loads. You talk about the strikers. You talk about Atsu. Obviously, always comes good at Christmas, as Paul likes to tell us. I wouldn't be shocked, put it that way, if this change is made Thursday. Would I? If it was, like I mentioned earlier on, if there wasn't a game for another week or 2 weeks, I would take 2 out of the 3 out of that final line up top. I think they're not producing for me.
Rob, but if you're Steve Bruce, what changes are you making, or are you just leaving it for the Thursday game, leave it exactly the same? Still enough days between both games to play the same 11 that play against Manchester City, and then maybe make changes against Southampton, or how would you do it?
I think there's a few changes that you can make in that team that played yesterday. First of all, I do agree with Kyle on the Joelinton front, and I think Gale, I think he's suited and booted. I think he's ready to go. He's been given a few chances off the bench, and he must be thinking, what have I got to do to get into this team ahead of Joelinton? Because Joelinton, it's just not performing as a striker should be. Midfield, I want to see Sean Longstaff back now that he's back from the suspension.
Who for?
That's the $1 million question, really. Hayden is the best in terms of Hayden and Shelvey. Hayden's the better of the centre mid.
So you drop
Shelvey.
Shelvey.
But he had a little bit of a quiet game yesterday. But then Shelvey.
He had a quiet game yesterday.
Shelvey's your captain, though.
Shelvey yesterday, it would be very difficult to drop him.
So who are you dropping if you're putting Sean Longstaff in? I think Isaac
really
is the best
don't know.
midfielder in the team and in the club at the minute.
I really don't know, but I do want to see Sean Longstaff in there. And then, of course, centre-backs. They did put a good shift in yesterday, but if Sheff is going to be fit, then I want to see him back in. I think he was a big miss against Aston Villa.
I think he was. I think potentially Sheff could. I think we could see Sheff either at Sheffield United or at home against Southampton next week. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Let's talk about Sheffield United. Chris Wilder, I campaigned a little bit for him to be the next Newcastle manager. There was rumours he was second favourite for a couple of days, behind, I think it was Mikel Arteta at the time, to be the next Newcastle manager. Lee, how impressed have you been with Chris Wilder? You know, they've got a draw, by the way, today against Wolves 1-1. If you just watch them for the first time or just listen for the first time, it's a great result, and they've got 19 points at the minute. We'd be on the same points as them if we would win. But
if he's done a great job, if we win, wouldn't you say Steve Bruce has done a great job then?
I would say so, yes, definitely. But
if we win,
of course. But has Chris Wilder just kind of given an approach to these players of, well, no one's kind of expecting us to do well, let's prove them all wrong.
It's a bit of a romantic story, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit like an FA Cup story, where he's gone from all the bottom of the leagues and he's brought Sheffield United up as Sheffield boy, of course. So Paul will know him well. So, sorry, Paul. Yeah, he's done a fantastic job. Reminds me of, remember when Ipswich first come up with George Burley, like years ago?
Oh, yes. Finished fifth or something stupidly.
Straight away.
There's Lee showing his age.
And then it was when Darren Bent was breaking through, so yeah, it was.
Christ,
so
that was a while ago.
And then obviously it's when does the bubble burst? To put it on the negative, because at some point they're going to have a bad run of form, and if they can get out that bad form fairly quick, because they'll have a run where they'll not win for 5 or 6 games, because they're a newly promoted side, and like I mentioned, it's December now, so fantastic job. As I mentioned, I was adamant you'd never leave Sheffield United when we was on this very radio show. You'll never leave Sheffield United, not when they're in the Premier League. That's his boyhood club. But if they went down, that might change. But what a job he's done. Fantastic. It's a breath of fresh air because there's millions everywhere you look in the Premier League, and that squad put together, probably less than Joe Linton.
Rob, is Chris Wilder the best English manager at the minute?
I'd put Eddie Howe ahead of him, to be honest. So they have similarities, aren't they? They've taken a club from League Two. Well, Eddie Howe took Bournemouth from League Two, took a bit of a break, and then brought them into the Premier League. Wilder, he was in League Two not so long ago with Northampton before he moved over to Sheffield United and went through the motions, if you like, from League One through to the Premier League. So they are very similar managers. But for me, it's got to be Eddie Howe ahead of him there. Wilder, great manager, but yeah, it's in answer to your question, yeah, it's got to be Eddie Howe.
Kyle, let's talk a little bit more about Sheffield United and Chris Wilder. They're sitting 7th place at the minute on 19 points. Yeah. You have to say, again, staying up is the ultimate aim, but they're 7 points clear of Southampton at the minute. Can you see them really getting involved massively in a relegation battle at the minute, or do you think they'll have enough about them to be okay, say, I don't know, March, early April time, to have, say, 36 or 40 points?
These will be fine. They'll have no problems at all for me, Johnny. Lee touched on Ipswich in the 90s, showing his age, but
it was the 2000s.
Well, whatever. I mean, it was so long ago. I mean, you win your 20s. But I think the reminders of Burnley from a couple of years ago when they finished 7th, not the best team. I mean, if you put their team 1 to 11 against any other team in the Premier League, they're probably going to get beat. All ends up in terms of individual quality, but they're a very industrious, hard-working team. They work for each other. They're behind the manager. Bramble Lane is a fortress. Even Liverpool went there and struggled and needed an own goal to beat them. So it's going to be difficult. Will these go down? No. I think they'll finish in the top 10, actually, Johnny. I really do. I don't think they'll go on that run that Lee seems to think that they will. I think they'll get a couple of players in January that'll fit their mould, and I think Wilder will be in contention to get manager of the year.
Sorry.
I mean, if it weren't for Brendan Rodgers' exploits at Leicester this season, Wilder would be talked about a lot more, I think, in the media.
Sheffield United haven't lost a game since they played Liverpool. Can anybody remember when they played Liverpool? Apart from Rob.
Yeah, sorry.
September?
Yeah, September the 28th. That was last time
Sheffield
United lost a game. And since then, played Watford 2-0, beat Arsenal, drew against West Ham, beat Burnley 3-0 very convincingly, got a point against Tottenham, got a point against Manchester United, and have obviously got a point today against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Lee, they're no mugs, but they're very gritty, very determined. They know when they're not going to get beat. How can Newcastle beat them?
Funny you say that, because they play the wing-back systems, which there's not many clubs in the Premier League which do, which is us, Sheffield United. I think there's one more. We've played them already, haven't we?
Arsenal were playing wing-backs under Emery, but he's gone.
Yeah, for Arsenal. It's always in crisis, that club. Wish I had their luxuries. It's interesting because they're going to play the wing-back system. They'll not change at Wilder. So it's matching up, isn't it? Literally, it's matching up like for like. And if you look at quality, you would say Newcastle. Of course you would. But if you talk about work, endeavour, heart, spirit, you would say Sheffield United all day long. When they bought Moussé for 10 million, I thought, Christ, 10 million for a guy who scored 1 goal. And hasn't he got something like 5 and 10 or something now?
Oh, he's done very well. He scored today after 2 minutes
Yeah,
as well.
but-
So he's a man in form. He scored a fantastic goal against Manchester United last week, curling it past David De Gea.
I think you've got to watch out for him. I think stop the reply, because when you look at McGoldrick, you think he looks like a non-league footballer the way he moves and that, but he's very industrial, isn't he? And he'll hold the ball up, he'll take one for the team, they'll get crosses in, the wing backs bomb on. I think Fleck's underrated as well, and Norwood likes to get on the ball and spray it, and he's great on set pieces. So, and obviously Egan's keeping Kieran Clark out the Irish squad at the minute, and he plays centre back. So, and obviously they've got a Manchester United goalkeeper on loan, so they've got a bit of threat there, and I think we're in for a really difficult night.
Everyone talks about their defenders, but 2 players I really want to pick out is John Fleck and Ollie Norwood. They, at the minute, are so instrumental in how Sheffield United dictate their play, especially watching them against Manchester United last week. They were just exceptional, particularly Norwood. He just relaxes the whole team when he's got the ball. He just makes everybody at ease. If I was a Sheffield United fan, if he was on the ball, I would feel so comfortable. It's a bit like when John Joe Shelvey was playing for Newcastle in the Championship. Every time he had the ball, you just go, well, he's fine. Just let him have the ball, because he knows he's going to do something. He's not going to give it away too easy. But I think him and Fleck got a goal against Manchester United as well last week. He likes to bomb on a little bit more. When Norwood will just sit back a little bit, and even Lundstrom, who wasn't really getting games in the Championship, was getting games in the Premier League, and he's been on the score sheet a couple of times as well for Sheffield United this season. Is there anybody, Rob, that we haven't mentioned that you think that is a threat for Newcastle from Sheffield United?
I think Lys Mousset is massively transformed since his move from Bournemouth. Was it like 3 goals in 2 seasons at Bournemouth?
Yeah.
So, and Sheffield United paid something like 10 million for
It's
him.
a gamble, isn't it?
I was laughing. I was thinking, what are you doing that for? I was
You can get a lot for 10 million, you know.
Yes,
you get Checho Villens.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was coming on to.
I was thinking, £10 million for Lys Mousset. That's got to be one of the worst deals ever. But he has proved me wrong. He's been banging the goals. He scored the winner against Arsenal. Scored last week against Man United.
Scored today.
Yeah, he's absolutely transformed. So I think if you're Chris Wilder, you're going to look at Mousset as someone who can't really be dropped at the moment. So I think he'll be guaranteed to start on Thursday. Will he carry on his proven goal scoring record this season? I wonder.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not on Thursday anyway.
Yeah.
Kyle, how do you stop overlapping centre halves? You've got Egan, O'Connell, Basham. Basham is a Geordie as well, actually, so he'll look forward to playing against the team supported as a boy.
It's the same way you stop any overlapping runner, kick them. No, in all seriousness, if you keep the right shape about you, like, to be fair, if they try and overlap, and we'll try and cut out the passes a little bit, and we might be able to catch them on the break like that, because we're deadly on the break. And as Lee touched on before, formations is a massive part. We in a way, we'd probably just go right against them and play the wing-back system. So there's plenty of opportunity there. It's going to be a man-marked battle, I think, with it being similar systems.
I think it'll be physical. I think we're in for a really difficult night, mate. I think we'll get beat. I don't think we'll get out.
Oh, he's Mr. Negative.
Well, I'd rather be honest with you, rather than just say, "Oh yeah, we'll make a point." But no, I'll give predictions, and I'll say that we'll get beat. I think they're too good at Bramall Lane. I just think they're flying at the minute. I think the bigger game for us is Southampton. If we can win that, it keeps them behind when we pull away. If you give us 4 points, I'm running. I'll run to Sheffield. It might take a few hours and 2 hours driving, but I think if you any Newcastle fan, 4 points you would take that. You in a heartbeat, you would. I just can't say we're getting out on Thursday. I think rotation will come in.
Kyle, do you think it'll be interesting, the fact, like Lee's mentioned, the fact that they play with 3 centre halves as well? How maybe the likes, maybe it's going to be Joe Linton that's going to start. I'll be very surprised if it's not Joe Linton. How
too much disappointment.
Do you think that he'll find it very, very difficult against 3 centre halves, and then maybe Bruce may spring a surprise and maybe go to top to see how we can get on with maybe 2 against 3 going forward, or is it that too much of a gamble away from home?
He found it difficult against Fernandinho playing centre back, so for me it's a difficult one. As I say, I think Gale should start because he can get in behind. Along with like saint-maximin and things like that. I think with it being free defenders, it doesn't matter who will play up front, it is going to be a difficult night. The same could be said for Sheffield United slot because they'll be playing against three defenders. It's going to be a battle of the midfield. I think the likes of John Shelvey, they're going to have enough about themselves to get forward and try and really boss that midfield. Because if we boss the midfield against a wing back system, I think that's 2/3 of the way done in terms of our battle, like in terms of what we can do going forward and things like that. So I think if the midfield put a good shift in and really boss it in terms of possession and things like that, I think we'll be okay.
Rob, I'm just going to quickly touch on the Southampton game because obviously it's going to be a full week until we play them. And of course, the Black and White show will be back next Sunday, straight after the Southampton game. It'll still be 6 o'clock. We finish the game at about 4 o'clock. So, yeah, if you want to get hopefully talking about a positive Newcastle result, make sure to join us on the Radio Northeast 102.5 next Sunday as well for all the reaction to the Southampton game. But Lee's touched on maybe the Southampton as a bigger game. If I was to offer you a win out of those two games, is the Southampton one the one you go, yeah, I'd rather win that one out of the Sheffield United game as well?
Just win either of them. I'm going to Sheffield on Thursday night, so I want to come back with a win. I don't think I haven't been to an away win yet.
Oh, he's not coming. He's not coming. It's nah.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, it's one of those where Sheffield United, if we draw on Thursday night, then we've got to win on Sunday to make that draw look good. If we draw on Thursday night but fail to win on Sunday against Southampton, then 2 points or that 1 point, it's not going to look that good, will it, on the record?
Let's get predictions in. Kyle, I'm going to ask you a slightly different predictions. I know you don't give football results predictions. How many points will Newcastle get from the next two games?
I want 6, but no Newcastle 2.
You think 2?
You know what Newcastle are like. I'm not one. I mean, don't take them in terms of like an actual prediction, but I'd be happy with 4. But you never know in Newcastle. I'll leave it at that.
Lee, I know you're brave. What's the score?
I'll go 1 more point. I think we'll get beat Thursday, but I think we'll win when the pressure's on at home against the Southampton side. We have an awesome record against at home. Rob can back us up on that.
So you're going 4 or 3?
3 points.
Rob?
Under the guise of my auspices.
It's a big word.
I think it would have to be... I think 4 is optimistic yet realistic as well. But 3 at the very minimum, win one of them. We have to look to winning at least one of them.
I'm going 4 points. I think we're going to draw on Thursday and we'll beat Southampton next Sunday. It's a long trip to Southampton, so I don't think they'll enjoy doing that next week, especially the fact they've got a game in midweek as well. So I think that'll only benefit Newcastle as well. A couple of comments. Philip Kears, 4 points for the next 2. I highly rate Basham, O'Connell, Egan and Fleck from Sheffield United. Chris Wilder doing a magnificent job for the Blades. Mick Lowe's thinks Sheffield United bubble will burst. We'll have to watch and see for that one. Sheffield United will have enough to stay up as well. Poor Arsenal, we'll touch about that maybe in the last 10 minutes of the show with the Premier League review, with also the latest that's going with Newcastle, the fan focus group that's been refurbished, if you like to be talked about, like to be said, which will be an interesting talk about between the 4 of us as well. But yeah, that is going to be part 4, the NUFC fan focus group and how that's all changed. Is there any fan forums anymore? Well, we're going to try and discuss what they're going to talk about because it's all put into little subjects now. So that's going to be a very interesting talking point. We'll also talk about other members of that of the group as well. Are they going to be able to join this new group, or is it going to be back to the old regime, shall we say? Let's get on to the final song before we finish this show. the Black and White Show here on Nova Radio Northeast 102.5 FM. We've talked Aston Villa, we've talked the draw against Manchester City, we've mentioned Sheffield United, the preview for Thursday night. This is the final part. It's going to be all about the new Newcastle fan focus group and how it's replacing the existing fans forum which started in 2013. We actually know people that have been on this forum before. I think, let's be brutally honest, find it difficult at times to ask difficult questions to the likes of the Charlie. But if we look at how they've done it now, there's going to be 4 key areas that they're going to talk about and that they're going to mention. The first being ticketing, the second being stadium and match day experience, the third is about the community and the foundation, and the fourth is all about equality. United as one, so obviously with the LGBT and racism, etc. That's mainly to do with the fourth area, shall we say. So out of these 4 groups, there will be 2 meetings a season. Now the first meetings have already been assigned for the 10th, 11th, 16th and the 17th of December, which depending on what group you want to join, that's the time and date. This will all get taking place at St James's Park as well. So is it a good thing, Lee, that the club are trying to do something, but are they the 4 issues that Newcastle fans really want to know about, or are there other issues that are more important that need to be discussed?
It all looks nice on paper, it all looks glossy, doesn't it? But is there any meaning behind it? The only thing that I can take positive from that is the foundation, that's it. The ticketing, I think, for me,
Reduce the prices.
the season ticket goes up and up and up. Away matches...
I think away matches is fair.
I think away matches is good. I think it's what we had in the last 2... It's not so much this season, but when the games are just suddenly changed and the club agreed to it with the powers of the TV, like of Sky and BT, and also international rights, I think the club get a nice, cool 1.2 million, whatever it is, just because they accept it. That's not fair on the fans, that. I remember the Everton one last season, that wasn't very nice. Changing that last minute was a big kick-off about it. What's a stadium and match day experience? What's that? I don't know what that is. A community and foundation, that'll be I think the foundation do some fantastic jobs. I think there is some good stories to come out of that, and obviously the club do help in the community. I agree on that. That's the only positive for me. The United as one. They want fans to step forward. If we step forward, Johnny, we wouldn't be accepted because we're a fan media group. As simple as that. I think the club will hand pick who they want, not who's best qualified for the role. Personally, we'll see. I might be proven wrong. We all know that the fans forum was an absolute joke once a year, and even the fans forum members didn't actually tell you what was happening. They held it back, so it's disappointing. But we'll see. That's only. I'll be optimistic. I'll say we'll see. We'll watch it with due course, I would say.
Rob, out of those 4 issues, or 4 areas that they've decided to mention, which one's the most important that they should address first?
United as one. I think the only way that you're going to unite the fan base now is if Mike Ashley and Lee Charnley and all his minions and friends just up sticks and left North East, never to return again.
But we know that's not happening.
Yeah, sadly, that isn't going to be
Well,
happening.
no. January's coming soon, so we might get it. Peter Kenny might be making a return, or Jesus Christ himself might launch a bid on Sky Sports or something like that. So it's coming. So we'll have something to talk about in a couple of weeks. Do continue, Rob.
Yeah, we've seen, because of Mike Ashley, there's been so much toxicity. He's caused this mess, and if he's here for the long term from now, it's up to him to try and put it back by investing in the club.
Yeah, it's
a difficult one, but I just hate this what the situation is now, with fans just turning on each other, hating each other, seeing each other as enemies. It's not how it should be.
Definitely. So anyone can attend.
That's not true, is it? We all know that's not true.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Anyone can attend. Would you attend, Lee?
I think I would attend to see what it's like. Would my voice be heard? Then I would ask that question, because I'm seen as a member of a fan channel who all fan channels have a reputation. I think that's what they'll look at. They won't look at what I'm good at, what I can speak at. They'll look at what the title is next of us, which I don't believe that they'll pick it fair. Personally, I think they'll look at it and say, right, he's qualified as such and such, or he's been a member for 15 years or whatever. Or, for example, they're not going to pick us, anyone what a Newcastle fans TV. They're not going to pick any other YouTube channel. They're not going to pick any podcast channel. The only one that I can see that they've picked is two groups, which is obviously the Disability Trust and also the NUFC, which I'm a part of and a member of. I think there's 2 or 3 of us here who are as well. The Newcastle United Supporters Trust.
They will be able to send a representative of the NUFC and obviously the Disability Foundation as well, which is right. That's absolutely fine.
I think you've got to get at least a fan in there, but the problem that we had with the fans forum was the fans forum didn't push, or if they did push, the club kept it disclosed. I know that from personal experience, because one of the members on our team withheld that information, which wasn't great for us as a channel or people who were watching. And whether that person was under what's the word I'm looking for?
Instruction.
To not see anything, you just don't know what's going on, and other questions being probed. We don't know because we don't see it, and it's only once a year. And for me, the club said that you can track the progress. I think that's a key thing to come out of this.
The feedback will be captured in an online tracker, the action tracker. So basically, for example, let's just say LGBT people, if they've got an idea when they've been talking about United, there's an issue. That issue will be on the tracker, and it'll either be saying that they've done something, that they've finalised it, and that this issue has now been resolved or is ongoing. Is that a good way of doing it, Kyle? Or do you think they should just give more information out?
I think this action tracker will be going offline after the first couple of meetings, but I suppose if that's what they want to do, but for me, actions speak louder than words. Whether they go forth with this and keep it going and actually communicate with their fan base remains to be seen, because communication has been shocking over the past couple of years. I mean, when was the last fans forum meeting anyone?
They had a secret one, which no one knew about, didn't they?
Did they?
They had a quiet one because we were discussing
that proves the point.
That proves the point. Remember, we were on topic. We were discussing about it.
They've
Been
talking about you, like.
No, it was put forward. Could the likes of ourselves and other YouTube channels and so on, fan media, if you want to call it that, fan digital groups, have access to the club? And our name was brought up about it, and it was going to be looked at. Obviously, we've, as you know, just messaged Lee Charney recently about all of this.
Lee Marshall,
sorry. The Charney's on my brain. And obviously, they've got media commitments elsewhere, which I totally respect, but at least they'll let the fan in somehow. There's still that barrier there. I know they've got media commitments and stuff, and the club have improved the YouTube, and that has to keep going, because that connects someone from America.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Do you get the idea? And I think they need to keep it going and keep that media going, because even if they see a silly daft quiz or a daft whatever, a five-a-side, or they're having whatever it is on YouTube, that connects a fan. It does. Even though because an international fan is never going to go to Newcastle and see their heroes close up. They're never going to have that opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to see more of that, more proof in the pudding, and if they could document it, but video it in the fans for this new fans group, video it, and then let the world see what's actually being said.
They'll not do that.
They'll not do it because they'll edit it. They'll cut it out.
No.
It's an interesting point. The club have also said that the club channels will be utilised to update supporters about major developments, and that's like obviously through its social media platforms, website, of course, if there's anything that was to happen majorly about the football club. We've talked about the first meeting, which will be before the end of this year, actually in this month, next week. The second meeting is scheduled for between March and April 2020, but there's not a confirmed date yet for that second meeting, but that will be sorted before the end of the season, the club has said. One thing, Rob, that I found very interesting, Lee Charney has made a commitment to meet the chairperson of the NUFC and the Newcastle United Disability Foundation during the season. It's also been mutually agreed that communication, there'll be a mutually agreed communication rather than fan forum minutes. So again, that's more the club having a final say on what's going to get put out to everybody else, rather than what actually gets said. Is it just the same thing but just worded differently?
Either way, I mean, time will tell that this whether this will be an improvement to the fans forum minutes. Wouldn't mind sort of seeing this sort of trialled, because as we know, the fans forum hasn't really worked in the lack of meetings that have gone on. I wouldn't mind seeing this trialled, but at the same time, it just feels like the club are not doing enough. They haven't done enough. So why should under the guise of a new system be any different? Because it's still the same mafia that are in place.
Well, Alex Hurst is the chairman of the NUFC, basically. I can't even say it.
NUFC.
And he's obviously with True Faith as well. So he will have his. I believe Alex is saying that he will. You're all right, Rob. I think, and Johnny, that I think you'll ask the questions, but will them questions be published, or will those things? That's the issue. Is that I think it'll all be what the club want to present it as, and I know this is going to sound horrible, but the club are just ticking boxes for me until we see proof.
Have they got to do something though to get proof?
Well, yeah, stop me as in season tickets. That's one.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we've got Mike Ashley, yes, we've got Lee Charney, but there's other things that you can do. We've seen the stadium improvement. I thought that side of the stadium looks so much more better. You kind of disagree that it doesn't. It's about time.
What about inside the stadium?
Yeah, I think it goes on and on. We always talk about the training ground for the players and staff. I mean, how is the training ground given an elite academy system is beyond me. And there's so much more that you can do with just, why don't you get a Sean Longstaff who's local to go and attend his local school, or more of that. When we see it, it's everywhere on the club's website. It's everywhere because it doesn't happen enough, so they have to shove it in your face that it's happening. Little things like that, where a YouTube channel, for example, ourselves can have access to an interview for 5 to 10 minutes. Or do you get me general idea where I'm going with that?
I'll put out this to you, Lee. Right, we'll touch about maybe fan channels getting interviews in a minute. But let's just say Lee Charney came out in one of these meetings and openly discussed why Rafa Benitez was not giving a new contract, while Solomon Rondon was not bought, and why Steve Bruce was appointed the manager. Regardless of what those reasons were, at least we have a bit of clarity about certain issues that are important. I think there are 3 things off the top of my head that I can think of that Newcastle fans would go, can we have an answer to this, because we're not getting anything off anybody.
It's just being a human. That's all about. As if I say, Kyle, why are you wearing that shirt today? Or why you give us an honest answer?
Why are you wearing that shirt?
But do you know what I mean? It's like it's just a human conversation rather than a written statement that you don't hear from him for 3 months. It's bringing that human aspect into that conversation where you can say, okay, it doesn't have to be like recorded. You could be off the cut and say, rightly, well, why didn't this happen or why that didn't, whatever. And then you can say, all right, I can get a little bit why, but because we just get this written, and it's like when I see it, no one believes it. It's a statement. Yeah, it's a statement of what exactly? Yeah, I think you're all right. I think having a fan access, even if it is someone like an Alex Hurst who has access to that, and Alex was to come out and say, okay, this happened, this really did happen, I think I'd rather believe Alex than Lee Charney. Of course he would. But I think it opens up the door to a lot more human aspect of the club, because it's very guarded away, and we get it, it's negative, it's Mike Ashley, it's Lee Charney, but there's so much more the club can do.
I think so. I think if they were to give, I'd go to be our fan channel, if our fan channel was given the opportunity to say, even if it was just a trial period, to say, look, can we get one player a month for 5 minutes? 5 minutes. It could be, I don't know, for example, it could be Emil Kraft, not the player that everybody wants, but
or even under 23 players.
Under 23 players, so just somebody that we can go, right, give us 5 minutes. We'll give you a copy of what our interview would be for 5-10 minutes. If you don't like it, we'll edit it until you like it. But at least we'll ask our questions. It won't be, I don't know.
It would be a tail-end interview. It would have to be just about football.
It'd have to be, but it's better than nothing.
It is, and again, it's breaking down that barrier between the fan and the club. And I'm not just saying, why are you thinking of yourselves? I'm not. Why can't a group of 7-year-old kids go, I can't say their heroes train for a day. Something simple as that.
I think those are me up the day, actually.
No, but more of it. More of it. Let's see more of it, because I see all these great things that Liverpool do. I know it's easy when you're winning, of course it is. But, Manchester City's media stuff's way on another level compared to Newcastle's. I know they've got the budget, don't get me wrong. I can understand it. But there is a lot of things that the club can look at, engage in, and build. Because the last thing I want is a club is 15, 20 people stand protesting. It doesn't look good. Yes, it's publicity, bad publicity, but it's not the publicity you want as a brand, as a business. Angry customers, effectively, because that's effectively what we are. We're not a fan, we're a customer, whether you like that or not, because we're not getting treated as a fan.
Do you think that they've been thinking about this idea for a long time, Kyle? Maybe to change the fan form, and that's why there's been a delay.
Well, I've had over a year to think about it, so... But... it doesn't even need to be what Lee says before with having it. Well, even what you says before with a player for 5 minutes for a fan channel. It doesn't even need to be. I just, if they put on their own platforms of YouTube of like something a bit more human, like for example the Christian Atsu video,
don't say that. It's funny, isn't it?
Who's always late or whatever. We've done that before. It's always me. But like, it's a human aspect. It's at the other side. It's like letting them in a little bit. It doesn't have to be through fan channels. It doesn't even need to be through the news or the national media. Even do it through their own platforms, so they feel like humans. I think there was a series that they did in pre-season when McLaren first took over
in the US.
They went over to America. Yeah. It showed like the first couple of days of Genie Wijnaldum signing and things like that.
They had the GoPro, didn't they?
And how he got on with with Rolando Aarons and things like that. That was great. Like, have that, because that's like that. It shows a different side. It was different. It was like something new. It was something fresh. Like, there's only so many things we can say before you'd be like, right, let's have something else. In terms of like, if players are like showing like what their lives are like on a pre-season tour or something like that, that's what I want to see as a fan. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't need to be through it doesn't even need to be through us interviewing them, for example. It just needs to
it's that
show their more human side. Yeah. But about 5 minutes ago, because I've just been listening away, like Johnny U says if Lee Charnley said, if Rondon, if we explain this and that and this and that, would anyone actually believe Lee Charnley? Because I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to trust Charnley as far as
maybe not. But I think you'll get a slight idea behind the reason why. I think.
But would you believe that reason?
No, but you would probably say, okay, I've had the explanation why. We've never had that.
Yeah, even if they said, even if we can disagree with anything they say, but if they try and say, look, we didn't want to pay £60 million for a guy that's going to turn 30 next week. This is what we're trying to do as a football club. We're trying to buy young players to then sell them on for a profit when they're a little bit
because
older.
Of X, Y, and Z.
Because at the peak. If they said something like that, as much as I probably disagree with it, and I want Newcastle to be a bit more ambitious in the future, but at least I could go, well, at least he's given me something. I think that's the point. Rob, let's get your thoughts on this whole thing about getting more interaction. And I think that's what this has all come down. This is what this whole new trust has come down to: more interaction. Can the club do more? And should they be giving the likes of your fan channels or the press, like newspapers, more?
See more human side.
Human side of the club.
Well, it certainly comes across as if they do let in like all of these fan channels and everything, the worst thing that's going to happen would be to there's a bit more workload for the media officer, whoever works there, because we see fan channels that we've worked with in the past, like Redmen TV especially.
Talking out shit, you've just had Abel Hernandez on.
Sorry?
Talking out City, you've just had Abel Hernandez on.
Yeah. It's Abel Hernandez, isn't it?
Or whoever it is.
The Cuban lad.
Yeah.
Abel Hernandez, I think, went like the former Hull striker.
Yeah, sorry. You know who I meant.
Newcastle several times.
So we've shown that through other fan channels it can be done, and I can understand why other clubs don't allow it on the basis that we as a fan channel, we are in no way associated with official Newcastle United. That way we can criticise the ownership, the running of the club, like we've done many times before, which they wouldn't allow under their supervision. And then, so on that basis, you can't say what you please, whatever you please, if you're under the guidance of an official club account.
I think another thing as well, the reason why they give your Skies, your BTs, Amazon will probably get an interview this week as well, is because they pay a heck of a lot of money to broadcast games and to
contractual reasons,
showcase these matches. They don't have that obligatory contract with a fan channel, for example. So it is difficult in that sense. Let's get a couple of your comments.
I think Paul's going off on
Paul's going on one, which is good. He cares, which is good. We want to know more about our club. Is that too much to ask? Philip Kears, totally agree with you. Rob, look, I think a lot of them is frustration from fans, Kyle. And if there was one thing that you would want changed, just one, and we've only got 5 minutes or so left, what would the one thing that you'd want changed about the club's communication?
Get rid of Mike Ashley. Replace the problem. And get a solution.
Realistically, because that's not going to happen.
It has to come from their side, Johnny. Like, it's all good us messaging Lee Marshall, asking for this, asking for that. I'm sure Renty, I'm sure the other lads at Gallagher Trot are doing the same, asking, and like, you can only ask so much. The answer in terms of like club and fan channel like communication, it's dead. Like, we might as well, as a concept, just leave it there, because that's not happening. It's got to come from their side. They've got to like open arms and like say to the fan base, right, we're looking to do this, we're looking to do that. They've got to show that now. They can't just say this. They can't just put on the social media saying, oh, we're going to do this and that. Prove it, because they've been words for 12 years saying this and that. I mean, remember when this is, oh, we're going to have brand new training facilities in 2012 and we've still got the same paddling pool. Do you know what I mean? It's like, prove it now.
I think for me, it's all about the human side
now. Regardless of what it is, I don't care if it's fan communication, signing players, manager situations like with Rafa last season. Instead of talking about it, just do it. No, you know what I mean? I don't want to go sound like a Nike advert, but just do it. Like, speak with your fan base instead of talking to your fan base. Talk to your fan base. Sorted. It's got to come from their side, not us. At the end of the day.
I think also you've got to look at, as I mentioned, also the human. For me, at all this, it's the human side, because if the season ticket prices, let's say, they go up again by 5% next year, which is probably going to happen. Okay, don't just put it in a statement, because we've never been told why this year.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a human thing.
But that's what this should be.
It's like Lee Charlie doing a video. Right, well, it's been raised 5% for this, and this reason. He lies all the time.
It doesn't have to be Charlie. I think
if he was Pinocchio, his nose would go to Sheffield and back. Like,
slide there.
If you like, honestly, if you say,
it'd be quite a journey, wouldn't it?
If you get him to speak on a human level, if you get any of them to speak on a human level, what are you going to get? Like, nothing.
But that's the lie. You're right about the club have to break it down. That's why they have to then come across and be that bridge gap.
To answer Johnny's question, get rid of the one problem, that's Mike Ashley, and then you have your solution of what's next. Because then the fans can buy into a new vision. It opens up a new era of like communication with him gone. Get Ashley gone, the rest will fall into place.
What do you want for Christmas, Kyle?
Ashley gone.
Get a voodoo doll of Ashley.
I mean, I don't mean gone as in dead. Let's clarify. But like, just gone from the football club, relinquished control. That yellow bar on Sky Sports, Mike Ashley no longer owns Newcastle United. Leave it at that.
I think that'd be a lovely Christmas present, wouldn't it? There's a couple of minutes left. Let's just we'll touch a little bit more about the Manchester City game, and I'm going to put it out there. What was the better goal, De Bruyne or John Joe Shelvey, Rob?
It's got to be De Bruyne.
Rob.
I'm sorry, but I could watch that De Bruyne goal many times over.
I could watch that foul again as well. But no. We've got 3 minutes. We might as well end on a bit of controversy, lads. We need to praise Steve Bruce. I mean, no one spoke about him in the videos all weekend. Nobody spoke about Steve Bruce. Even I haven't.
The lads did. Or they give him what did you give him on the scoring players?
I gave Steve Bruce a 9 out of 10. And I think the reason why I gave him a 9 out of 10 on the video yesterday,
Paul didn't want to, did he? He was
No,
like,
he
oh,
didn't.
I don't want to, I don't want to.
He didn't want to, but I think I explained it well. So I thought defensively, we got it absolutely spot on, and we Manchester City were always going to get like that. Chris NUFC breaking news. Mike Ashley has just gone.
Get in! We haven't lost at home since August.
Yeah, our home form's picked up.
Unbelievably, Arsenal. I don't know how.
Arsenal are poor against us as well, but no, I thought defensively we were fantastic, and we were just a brick wall with a Manchester City found it very hard to break us down, and when we did very well with the chances that we had. I think Pep Guardiola summed it up perfectly. I think we had 2 chances and 2 goals, so yeah, it was brilliant. Lee, De Bruyne or Shelvey?
Well, Shelvey goal is more important for her, of course, but technically speaking, De Bruyne has... It'll win goal of the month, because is goal of the month on tonight?
It wasn't even the best goal of the game, man.
So maybe on goal of the month on BBC's, I think De Bruyne will win it, mate. I think it's a hell of a hit. Sometimes you just got to say, well done.
And then you got Grealish as a possibility for the December goal of the month.
Nah, De Bruyne.
Yeah, if you get a chance to watch that goal, Jack Grealish against Man United, it's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's been a very... It's just a normal week for Newcastle, and it's going to be a very normal week this week. Obviously, the Sheffield United game on Thursday, and then obviously the Southampton game on Sunday. Newcastle having 2 games in a few days. So it'll be 3 games in 8 days altogether. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Hopefully Newcastle can get more points on the board and stay away from the relegation zone. And who knows, might even be in the top half. My thanks to Lee Lawler, for Kyle Thompson, and to Rob Spieral. Newcastle get a fantastic point against Manchester City. It was 2-2 yesterday at St James's Park. Hopefully the next time we're at St James's Park we're talking about a couple of wins for Steve Bruce's side. Thank you very much for all your comments on air and also on our social media platforms. We will see you all next Sunday at the same time of 6 o'clock for the Black and White Show here on Nova Radio Northeast.
Yeah, don't